Good afternoon, everybody. What a gorgeous day for this auspicious event. Delighted to be here. I'm Dee Dee Myers. I am the Director of the Governor's Office of Business and Economic Development, and I'm delighted to be here today at Larkspur Landing for a signing ceremony of a new Memorandum of Understanding on Climate Action, as well as a joint statement affirming the enduring partnership between Norway and the state of California. We couldn't, again, ask for a more beautiful setting that's evocative of what we're trying to accomplish here today. It's a great honor to welcome to California His Royal Highness Crown Prince Haakon and all the members of the delegation. So thank you all for joining us here today. I'd also like to recognize Minister Vestre. Where's he? There he is, right in front. Welcome to you as well, and Norway's Consul General in San Francisco, Gry Henriksen. So thank you all for being here today. And thank you to the Norwegian Ministry and Consulate for everything that you've done to make today possible. It's really been a pleasure working with all of you. I'd also like to welcome Dr. Michael Drake, President of our esteemed University of California. Thank you for being here, Dr. Drake. We are so proud of our UC system, which is incomparable with 10 campuses, 5 medical centers, 3 nationally affiliated labs, and more than 280,000 students. And we really believe that it is the secret sauce that makes California's economy hum, the crown jewel of our incredible higher education system. So thank you for being here and for all that you're doing to foster these relationships. And finally, we're pleased to be joined by a fantastic group of California and Norwegian companies which exemplify the depth of our trade and commercial ties and our shared commitment to spurring innovation, the kind of innovation, technological development, and private investment that's going to change and continue to change the world and to achieve the goals that are so dear to both of us. So today, California and Norway are elevating our joint commitment to fighting climate change, something that is so core and such a profoundly shared value between us. We're also signaling our resolve to continue to work together because we know that's the path as we find our way to a more sustainable and technologically responsible future. So we have 2 documents, a joint statement and an MOU. We're going to sign the MOU first. It cements a framework for collaboration as well as the exchange of knowledge, data, and best practices necessary to create solutions that advance climate action and support economic growth. And that is critical. We know from our 2 economies we can do both those things. We can grow our economy and support climate action. So, Your Royal Highness, we're deeply honored to have you here today for this MOU signing, and we hope to welcome you back to California anytime. We know that you've spent some time here, including, I understand, kite surfing on this bay. So impressive, and you know, we hope to see that at some point. I'm also pleased to welcome Minister Vestre to the stage. Sorry. I understand that your grandfather was American, but apparently not Californian? New Jersey. We have no beef with New Jersey. Don't get us started on some of the other states, right, Gov? Anyway, so I'd like to invite you to the stage to deliver some remarks.
Thank you, Your Royal Highness, Governor, Consular General, ladies and gentlemen, friends. Let me start by thanking Governor Newsom for the warm welcome we have received and for the great conversation we have had already, and really appreciate also the sharing of ideas on the prison system we just had out at San Quentin. Norway's excellent relations, friends, with the US, and I would say with California in particular, go way back, as we know. But today we are taking it a step further, teaming up to quicken and the pace of the green transition. And I would like to point out the fitting location here today, because Norway is a world leader in emission-free ferries, and green transport is, of course, one of the areas where we see potential for more cooperation in the years to come. Most of the time, the tech travels the other way. Indeed, many of us always carry a piece of California with us, literally, but also on a deeper level, because California is a symbol of optimism, the global epicenter of innovation where ideas and people go to find realization. And on the topic of transport, Governor, Norwegians rely on our long-range, four-wheel drive Teslas made here in California than almost any other vehicle. I think still the sales figures back home in Norway is quite awesome, to be honest. And this is a fact which not only underscores the impact of Californian innovation and technology, but it also proves the power of progressive politics. It was a smart idea back then to implement policies that made the EVs attractive in Norway, and that also brought opportunities for new development of technology and bringing the technology into real-life application. So, what we know is to implement now all the climate solutions needed to make sure that we make the right decisions and that we do speed up and accelerate this transition. That's the way that will bring us forward. As we all know, California has a legacy for progressive green policies and is continuing, I would say, to lead the way. You, Governor, is a true leader, and this is a leadership the world will need more of in the years to come. And so is for Norway as well, because our government has made the green transition into one of our top priorities. And I believe that when we can share ideas, when we can bring out the best of the best practices, when we can sit down together and discuss how can we use the best of politics, how can we create the private-public partnerships needed for this transition, then we can lead the world forward. As you have said, Governor, we have agency, and we must use it and use the tools available, and we need to come up with new efficient tools as well. And cooperation is perhaps the most powerful, the strongest tool we have, a structure we can lay down to build the future upon. So friends, this MOU we are signing today will formalize our cooperation in a number of very important areas where we do share the same goals, where our policies are overlapping and where our industries and expertise, our opportunities and needs do complement each other. That's on green transport and infrastructure, clean energy such as offshore wind, where we share more or less the same ambitions, carbon capture, utilization and storage, a circular, brighter economy with more recycling, more reuse, smarter waste handling, but also creating new, safe, attractive, good-paying jobs, on critical raw materials, on batteries, climate-smart agriculture and forestry, to mention a few of the topics. Like I said, friends, Californian tech has already made our domestic footprint lighter back home in Norway. And a number of Norwegian companies, which we are extremely proud of, are also present here today with the same purpose: to supply the smart solutions that will bring us from a fossil and linear economy to one that is sustainable, renewable and circular. A case in point is the Norwegian energy giant Equinor, which will develop the floating offshore wind project Atlas off the coast of California. So friends, we have a lot to build upon, and the best, as always, is yet to come. So with California's remarkable level of innovation, your bold and visionary leadership, your economic strength and the political vision, I believe that Norway will find no better partner in the universe for the journey we have ahead. Partnerships are about finding the shortest path, Governor. As you have said, it's also about humility. So when we do sign this MOU today, it is in the spirit I believe in, of optimism, the Californian can-do attitude. Everything is possible, as we know, but it's also with a strong recognition that we can't do it alone. That is the essence of sustainability, bringing our assets, knowledge and know-how to the table to share, to learn, to cooperate and to quicken the pace of change together. Thank you so much, and we can't wait for all the nice things that will happen in the future in the partnership between California and Norway.
My staff has a bingo card of all my sayings, and you just had about 10 of them. The best is yet to come. Agency, humility, I love it. Minister, thank you for your remarks. Your Royal Highness, wonderful to have you. To all of the esteemed guests, we're grateful that you're all here. Look, in the spirit of the minister's remarks, we love to say about California, the future happens here first. We are America's coming attraction, and we mean that. We take that seriously. We're in the future tense. We're in the process always of becoming. And we're proud. A state of dreamers, of doers, of entrepreneurs, and innovators. We've become the 5th largest economy in the world. And by the way, I say that with humility. We barely survived that status today with the new international rankings. India's doing a little too well right now. They're nipping right behind us. But nonetheless, we're proud of that status, and we're proud of that leadership and that stewardship and that sense of destiny and responsibility and purpose and meaning and mission. In the spirit, Minister, we recognize we have agency. We're not bystanders in the world. That the future is, in front of us, but it's also inside of us. Decisions, not conditions, that determine that fate and future. And that's been part of our proud past, that history, particularly on the issues that unite us here today with this joint statement and the memorandum of understanding, particularly on the issue of environmental stewardship. And by the way, that goes back in a very bipartisan frame. It goes back to the year of my birth, 1967, when California really established its environmental leadership by regulating tailpipe emissions, leading in so many ways to the EV revolution that exists today. It was Ronald Reagan who created Chair Randolph's California Air Resources Board. It was just a few years later, 3 years later, by the act of Congress and the signature of the President of the United States, then Republican Richard Nixon, that codified California's leadership and gave us the authority under the Clean Air Act to advance our nation-leading efforts. That's allowed us to advance our waiver to become the first state in the United States to require alternative fuel vehicles by 2035. That has pushed the envelope in terms of advancing the entrepreneurial energy and the innovation and the investment in this space and the dynamism that's become so much part of this innovative spirit, of course, that you've taken to a whole new level. Back to the notion of humility. I'm here mindful of Norway's leadership, not just on the issue of environmental stewardship, the work you've done to change the way you produce and consume energy, the work you've done to advance a low-carbon green growth footprint and future, but also on the work you've done on reforming the criminal justice system. And I just want to say, personal point of privilege, we were a little bit late because we took a little bit of extra time right there at San Quentin as we're in the process of transforming one of the most iconic and notorious prisons in the Western Hemisphere that holds now more condemned inmates than any other institution in the Western Hemisphere. We're transforming death row. We're transforming the oldest prison, 1852 in California, to a world-class, a world-leading rehabilitation center inspired by Norway, inspired by the power that is the power of emulation. Success, Your Royal Highness, leaves clues. And so I just want to thank you for your success in transforming your prison system, reducing recidivism, improving public safety and community safety in the process, and instilling a sense of well-being and optimism in terms of the work that you have done, not just within your country, but inside of all of us that have been truly inspired by your example and your leadership. It is a point of pride to be investing in the work we're doing across the way. It's a point of pride to continue to invest in our efforts to change our strategies as it relates to our carbon footprint. It's a point of pride that we dominate in America on solar. We dominate in electric vehicles. We're dominating on battery storage. 757% increase in just the last few years in battery storage. We're proud of that leadership, and we want to cede that. We will not cede that, regardless of the prevailing winds. My one political comment, regardless of the prevailing winds nationally, California is firm in advancing its environmental strategies and its environmental leadership. So we're grateful to all of you. In closing, it's a three-legged stool, as the minister noted. Environmental stewardship, issues around criminal justice and prison reform, but also in the spirit that is so familiar to all of us here. looking at the San Francisco Bay Area behind me. We're just proud of that entrepreneurial innovative spirit, that notion of the destiny, this notion, though, that is fulfilled in closing by inviting people from all around the world that come here, California, for riches and new beginnings. There's a secret sauce. And Minister, you said it, talked about values. Values matter. They're a huge part of the economic paradigm. And it's the reason California is so successful, is we are a universal state. We practice pluralism. We don't tolerate our diversity. We celebrate our diversity. That's the why. Why has it worked? Why is it working in California? We also will not cede that leadership. And this memorandum of understanding advances the environmental stewardship, but this joint statement advances, I think, that core fundamental principle of pluralism. We practice pluralism. A lot of pluralistic states that don't practice pluralism. And so that's another value we're advancing and codifying here today. It's an honor to have you back in your adopted state of California. And it's an honor to be here with all of you today, and look forward to signing the MOU. Thank you all very, very much.
Thank you, Governor, and thank you, Minister Vestry. I'd like to invite you to come back to witness the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding, as well as Your Royal Highness, Consul General, and David Hochschild, who's going to sign on behalf of California. The Governor and Minister Vestry are signing a joint statement reaffirming the partnership between California and Norway on education, research, and innovation, which are the pillars of the enduring relationship between our two state and country. Okay, now, yeah. You got a little. Yeah, and you two will witness. Take some questions.
Good. Oh, geez. I'm going to go sit down. All right. The minister is here to answer all domestic questions.
Mr. Governor, my name is Anders Tvegård. I'm with the Norwegian Broadcasting. How are you?
Good.
You just visited San Quentin, as you mentioned. Now you have signed a memorandum. What makes Norway an interesting partner for you? And I do remember last fall you visited a Republican presidential debate. The work you do here in California, you called it future tense. Would that work on a national level, given the toxic political climate in your country?
Well, look, I think the things we promote, our values, are universal. Everywhere I go, people seem want to solve the issues of ignorance, poverty, and disease. They look to California for inspiration. They look for California for leadership on a myriad of issues, not just on climate, on entrepreneurialism or innovation, but certainly on education and child care, health care, across the spectrum. So I've long believed that in my core. As it relates to your first question, it's the spirit of collaboration that ultimately defines my response. Norway's willingness to have an open hand, not a closed fist. A willingness to engage, a willingness to seek and be inclusive. We've had 2 delegations, Mr. Minister, as you know, that have formally gone to Norway seeking ideas and inspiration as it relates to criminal justice reform. We've had all kinds of smaller group meetings, and we've had a group of people that have taken the time to visit us and offering with humility and grace best practice and support in terms of technical advice and direction. And I think that's the why. A lot of people do good things, but they don't share those good things. Norway's spirit of openness and collaboration, I think, define this partnership in a very positive and reinforcing and meaningful way. And I'll just close on that. This is a journey for us. I was telling His Royal Highness, I mean, we're just getting started here. And anyone who walks in, I imagine it's a little jarring, Minister, walking into our prison and our prison system compared to yours. And you see these small programs and you sort of maybe quietly rolling your eyes a little bit, saying we did that 20, 30 years ago. That's cute. You almost want to pat us on the back. But we're just getting started, again, to humility. And it's, to me, all about scale. And I should know, in closing on this, no one scaled their prison system like California scaled it. I talked about leadership, but that comes in many stripes, good and bad of that. We led the nation in over-incarceration. We led the nation, 3 strikes and you're out, fear of the others. A lot of the xenophobia, a lot of the nativism that's captured in this rights regression, this blue versus red dynamic that you allude to in American politics. A lot of that can be traced, its origins, to California, where we led the nation in that xenophobia nativism. Prop 187, 3 strikes and you're out. Eliminating, Dr. Drake knows this well, Royal Highness knows this well, eliminating affirmative action at the UC system. First state to do that. We were ahead of the curve on a lot of those things, and we paid a big price. 173,000 people, 173,000 human beings, just in California alone, were incarcerated in 2006. In 1852, this institution was built for the entire incarcerated capacity of California. Never did they dream that we would exceed a few thousand, let alone peak at 173,000. Today, we've rationalized anywhere from 90 to 95,000 prisoners. And we're in a process now where we're seeing improved public safety in the last 15, 20 years as we've moved in a more enlightened way. And we want to take that to the next level. And that's the spirit, again, of this MOU and the visit.
If I may, Mr. Vestre, what lessons from California will you take back home to Norway?
Thank you, Governor. Yeah, where to start, actually? I mean, there are so many things. First of all, I think this can-do approach, that everything is possible, and that when you really work for something, and when you have the right vision and the bold ideas and the bold leadership, we can actually achieve the goals and the sustainability journey we have all started on. I think that's a true inspiration, not only for Norway, but also from the entire world to learn from the Californian leadership. Second, I would say, as the governor said also, I mean, California has been leading the way for decades already on all the frameworks, on all the regulatory conditions, on all the rules and regulations and all those things. And I think that has also made it quite predictable for the industry and for the private sector and for everybody actually to know where we are heading. And third, I have to mention, of course, this is the hub for technology and innovation. And if we are to solve the climate crisis, if we are to protect and restore nature and biodiversity, and at the same time, on a global level, eradicating poverty, fighting injustice, all the things we have committed on in the 17 sustainability goals, we have to work together and we have to find new technological approaches and the bold ideas moving ahead. And I mean, for the Norwegian companies also to team up with their American and Californian counterparts, looking at all the opportunities. I mean, few years ago, a lot of the things we are discussing right now and a lot of the topics in the MOU used to be science fiction. It's not anymore. Now we can implement offshore wind. We can implement carbon capture and storage. We do have the electric vehicles already, and soon they will be self-driving, fully autonomous. So again, it's about speed now. It's about collaboration, and it's about also letting the industry in private-public partnerships work together with us so that we can speed up the transition, reducing the cost, and then making it affordable for everybody.
Thank you.
Governor Travis Gilmore with the Epoch Times. Californians are really concerned about skyrocketing utility bills, and the CPUC president recently testified to the legislature that the climate agenda is subsidizing these bills and causing them to go up. Is there a path forward where we can achieve these objectives without saddling the costs on ratepayers?
Well, that's exactly what we did through the process of NEM 2.0, the NEM 3 initiative. We're trying to stress test other environmental initiatives, community solar in that respect as well. Note that the cap and trade program this year provided a $146 rebate. That's something I haven't seen a lot of headlines about. $146 rebate went to all ratepayers in terms of their electric bill to offset those costs as a consequence of the nation-leading efforts in that program. But no, we're deeply, deeply mindful. It's a good question. It's one that I'm deeply focused on, as all of us are, not just in California, but all across this country. As you know well, places like Florida and Texas have higher average utility bills than the state of California. We don't want to follow the model of Florida and Texas as it relates to high utility bills. We want to continue our efforts in energy efficiency. We want to continue to advance our transition, but we have to be more mindful, I think, than we even have in the past of the stacking of costs at a precious and important time.
Thank you, Governor.
Thank you. How do you do, Mr. Governor? My name is Kjetil Hansen. I'm from the Norwegian daily newspaper Aftenposten. Was here, and he said that you are a hell of a governor, and that basically you could do his job. Is that a ringing endorsement from the leader of your party, and how you plan to do anything about
Well,
it?
that's a terribly tough question. It is in a perverse way. Look, I couldn't be more proud of our president, not my president, not through the lens of a political party. I think he's been a hell of a president. And I'm active and participatory in his reelection. The work he's done on industrial policy is second to none in my lifetime. The work we're doing on infrastructure and the CHIPS and Science Act, the work we're doing on safer communities, the work he's done across the spectrum of issues we've been talking about for decades, and he's actually delivered. I can regale you on the economic data, but I'm also mindful how people feel. And I think it's important. You frame a question. The prior question was a very good question about how people are feeling about costs. And while inflation is down directionally, it's moving in the right direction. It's been a difficult time the last few years. And there's been a stacking of stress, not just stacking of costs, as it relates to issues, global issues within our control, outside of our control. And I think people are feeling a little lack of control in their lives. And I think that's why this election is going to be a tough election. I think the guy on the other side, who currently is quite literally in a courtroom, compared to our president, at least the president of the United States, who's out there in Pennsylvania campaigning, I think creates a stark contrast in terms of visions and approaches. But no doubt will be a tough election. And I'm as I told the president, put me in, coach. Whatever he needs, we'll be there for him.
So come 2029, will you invite the Crown Prince back to the White House?
Well, they have a good paid internship program, Your Royal Highness. I welcome you.
Governor Newsom, this is the last question. My name's Suzanne. I'm with ABC7. There was massive gridlock for hours yesterday when pro-Palestinian protesters blocked I-880 in Oakland and also the Golden Gate Bridge. What is your response to what they're doing? Are they taking their freedom of speech rights too far? Are you concerned about them doing it again? There's a bill pending that would double fines against protesters blocking emergency traffic vehicles.
Obviously, I'm concerned. I got calls from folks trying to get to dentist appointments, trying to get their kids to school. People are trying to get to work here, coming from the North Bay, Marin County into San Francisco. Golden Gate Bridge impacted, 880, even more profound. The techniques that they're using are even more advanced than we saw in the East Coast. 55-gallon concrete drums with arms locked in. We saw it with cars and these sleeves to protesters. I'm proud of the CHP. It wasn't easy work. I know it's frustrating, the amount of time it took to move people on. But look, it's not, I respect freedom of speech, right to protest. In fact, I revere it. It's foundational in who we are. And I certainly respect the cause that around the ceasefire of the President of the United States. I support that. I support his approach to that issue. And I believe fundamentally that's part of what they're expressing. But I think there's a better way of expressing it than denying people the ability to get to work. Someone in an emergency that can't get to their destination. I don't think that's helpful, and I don't think that's responsible. I think there are better ways of protesting. So, no, I hope we don't see it again, and I do think people need to be held to account for their actions.
Person behind me. Do you have a response to Google taking down California news links?
To who? Taking Google?
Do you have a response to Google
Oh,
taking down California news links?
With, how do I best say this? We're in conversations with the company you referenced. Let's leave it at that.
What does the Norway delegation think of San Quentin?
Oh, yeah. Good final question.
Thank you for your question. I think it's a great example also to see how we are progressing and how the reforms are actually working and how people can get their hope back and also, you know, more optimistic about the future. And the fact that a lot of American and Californian delegations come to Norway and learn from Norway, and that we can share experiences and inspiration and also develop this system further, that makes me happy. And I think it's just one of many great examples that is showcasing us why this collaboration and why this partnership between California and Norway is so important. Yeah, absolutely, and I spoke to some of my colleagues about it. I mean, we're quite far from home, but when we are visiting our prisons and now visiting San Quentin, there's so many similarities now, and I think the best thing about it is actually to talk to the people there, to the guys there actually also, and listening to them and their expressions and their experience. Some of them have been there for decades already, and for them to actually step up and tell the difference and how they've got the hope back, I think that's truly inspirational. And yes, it's something we have learned from each other, and I really hope that we will see more of this. And I also hope that the ideas here and this true leadership here is something we will see also spreading across the U.S.
But the best in the minister's vernacular, the best at San Quentin is yet to come. Thank you all very, very much.